Welcome to Whispers of the Night. This is a quiet place where the world slows down and rest gently finds you. If you're new here, take a moment to settle in. You're safe, you're welcome, and you don't need to be anywhere else right now. Before we begin, if these stories help you relax, sleep, or simply feel calm, please consider subscribing to Whispers of the Night. Your support allows this space to remain soft, unhurried, and peaceful. You can also like this story or leave a gentle comment, so more listeners searching for rest can find their way here now. Let the day loosen its grip. Allow your shoulders to soften, your breath to slow, and your attention to drift inward. Tonight's story is called Collected, a gentle journey through stillness, release, and quiet wonder. When you're ready, we'll begin. Before the story unfolds, let's take a few moments to help your body and mind unwind. Gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a slow breath in through your nose and release it through your mouth. Again, inhale calmly and exhale gently. Notice how the surface beneath you supports your body. You don't need to hold yourself up anymore. Let the weight of the day sink down and away. Allow your forehead to smooth, your jaw to unclench, your tongue to rest easily. With each breath out, imagine quiet spreading through you, like warm air settling in a still room. If thoughts appear, you don't need to follow them. Just let them drift by like distant clouds. Bring your attention to your shoulders. Let them fall away from your ears. Release any effort you've been carrying. Feel your chest rise and fall, slow, steady, natural. Your arms grow heavy. Your hands soften. Your fingers loosen their hold. Calves and feet resting fully. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to prepare for. This time is only for rest. Each breath carries you deeper into comfort. Each pause invites more calm. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to simply be. When the story begins, you don't need to listen closely. Just let the words flow over you like a quiet stream. And now, in this softened space, the story gently begins. The murmur of collected wonders, the quiet call. In the hush of an ordinary evening, the world seemed to pause, as though holding its breath in anticipation of something just beyond perception. The air was soft, carrying a subtle coolness that hinted at the close of day. Shadows lengthened across the rooms of her home, draping furniture and familiar objects in delicate, shifting patterns. The protagonist sat quietly near the window, her hands folded loosely in her lap, her thoughts drifting without demand or urgency. There was a certain stillness in the house, a serene pause that seemed to encourage reflection and gentle curiosity. Every small sound, the quiet tick of the clock, The faint rustle of leaves brushing against the window pane. The distant call of a night bird settling into its evening felt amplified in its significance, as if each held a secret meant just for her, she noticed, without fully understanding why. A peculiar sensation, almost imperceptible, tugging at her awareness. It was not forceful, not intrusive. It was more like a gentle current brushing against the edges of her consciousness, whispering that there were things in the world she had yet to see, wonders she had overlooked or forgotten. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting herself be guided inward, and felt the soft pull more distinctly, like a quiet call reaching her across the invisible threads of the evening. It was an invitation to slow down, to notice the subtle beauty woven into everyday life, to allow the mind to wander freely, untethered from the obligations and noise of the day. The room around her seemed to breathe along with her own movements. She could feel the faint warmth of the wooden floor beneath her feet, the subtle texture of her clothing against her skin, the gentle weight of her own presence in the quiet space. Each sensation was simple, ordinary, yet profound when met with a quiet attention that demanded nothing and promised nothing beyond awareness. There was a richness in this quiet, a kind of gentle majesty in the way. The ordinary seemed to settle into its place and become a companion to the attentive mind. As night settled more deeply, the subtle murmurs that had seemed merely a product of imagination became more pronounced. They were not voices in the usual sense, but a resonance, a hum carried by the air and by the stillness, encouraging her to notice details she would normally pass by without thought. A faint glow from the street lamp outside created shifting shapes on the walls, painting them in a way that seemed almost deliberate, as though the night itself were arranging its own artwork. She found herself tracing the outlines of the shadows with her eyes, watching them stretch and bend in ways that felt alive, and in doing so, felt a surprising sense of calm, as though each shift in shadow held a story waiting for her attention. Her mind began to wander in gentle, meandering patterns, moving from one observation to another. She remembered the small ceramic figurine on the mantelpiece, its glaze catching the light in soft, muted hues, and marveled at the delicate brushstrokes that brought it to life. She noticed the faint scent of old pages lingering from a stack of books she had been meaning to read, a mixture of paper, dust, and quiet memory that seemed to speak of the hands that had held them before and the lives they had touched. Each small object, each minor detail, felt like a tiny wonder, a secret offering of beauty, if only one had the patience to notice. It was in this gentle attentiveness that she began to feel a subtle shift within herself. A quiet curiosity arose, not the restless, demanding kind that pulls one into endless activity, but a soft, receptive curiosity, the kind that allows for the slow unfolding of understanding and appreciation. She felt drawn to the delicate interplay between light and shadow, sound and silence, presence and absence, and recognized that these ordinary elements of the evening were themselves a kind of quiet magic. There was no need for dramatic events or spectacular revelations. The wonder was inherent in the attentive perception of the moment. The murmurs seemed to guide her in a pattern she could not quite name. They were gentle nudges, encouraging her to notice the subtle movements of the air, the quiet settling of objects in the room, the almost imperceptible changes in the night beyond her window. A leaf brushed against the glass, and she imagined the story of the wind that had carried it, the journey it had made from branch to branch before finding its place at her window. The sound of distant footsteps on the street below reminded her of lives intersecting in ways she would never fully see. And yet there was a harmony in that invisible dance, a rhythm that resonated quietly within her. Her awareness of herself expanded in the hush of the evening. She felt the slow, deliberate rhythm of her own breathing, the gentle rise and fall of her chest, and the warmth of her heartbeat, a soft percussion in the silence. It was comforting, grounding, a reminder of the simple miracle of being present in a world that was often hurried and distracted. The murmurs became a companion, a voice of gentle guidance that did not intrude but invited, drawing her attention outward to the small wonders and inward to the quiet depths of her own mind. She found herself drawn to a small vase of dried flowers. On a side table, the petals faded, yet beautiful in their subtle colors and intricate textures. She reached out, her fingers brushing the surface lightly, feeling the brittle softness and marveling at the resilience of the blooms that had once been vibrant and alive. There was a story in them, a history that was now quiet and still, yet not diminished in value. She thought of the hands that had arranged them, the care with which they had been tended, and felt a gentle connection to the continuum of care and attention that flowed from one being to another, even across time and circumstance. The evening deepened into a richer darkness, and with it came a sense of expansiveness. The familiar corners of her home seemed to stretch outward, opening into spaces she could not name but felt in her imagination. The murmurs grew more intricate, layering themselves in patterns that suggested hidden landscapes, places where ordinary objects held extraordinary significance if one had the patience to observe. A small teacup on the shelf, glazed in muted blues and soft creams, seemed to hold a tiny reflection of the world outside the window. The hum of the night, the rustle of leaves, the distant sounds of the city settling into sleep hall became part of a larger symphony, a gentle orchestration that invited her to listen and participate simply by being present. She allowed her mind to drift, following the currents of thought without clinging to any one image or memory. She imagined herself wandering through a library where the books whispered softly, each page turning with its own quiet rhythm, carrying secrets and stories that stretched beyond her comprehension. She pictured gardens where the flowers seemed to nod knowingly in the wind, where each petal held a tiny, secret narrative. She felt the texture of soft moss beneath her fingers, the warmth of sunlight filtered through leaves, the delicate splash of water in a hidden stream, all sensations that were both imagined and real in the gentle liminality of evening contemplation. There was a subtle joy in this attentiveness, a pleasure not born of achievement or recognition, but of simple perception. She noticed the way the shadows lengthened and shifted with imperceptible grace, the way the air seemed to hum faintly with presence, the way her own thoughts slowed and softened. There was no rush to understand or categorize, no pressure to act or decide. The world existed in its quiet splendor, and she was allowed simply to notice, to witness, to be. Each small discovery, each tiny observation felt like a whispered gift from the evening, an offering of wonder that required only the patience to receive. In the silence, she felt a gentle reassurance, a sense that the world was filled with quiet, enduring beauty that did not demand attention but rewarded it richly when offered. She sensed that the murmurs were not just external, they were reflections of something within her, a subtle alignment of perception and presence that had been waiting for recognition. The ordinary became extraordinary in the act of noticing, and she felt a soft expansion of awareness, a sense that even the most mundane objects and moments were infused with meaning if one approached them with a gentle attentiveness. The protagonist lingered in this state for what felt like both a long time and no time at all. Her mind floated, suspended between observation and reflection, between the tangible and the imagined. Each sensation was a thread, each thought a strand, weaving together a delicate tapestry of evening awareness. She became aware of the quiet hum of her own existence, a continuous, steady presence that underpinned all perception. In that hum, in that stillness, there was a profound comfort, a reminder that she was part of a larger rhythm, a pattern of life and light, shadow and silence, that extended beyond the walls of her home and into the unfolding night. As the evening deepened further into night, a gentle drowsiness began to settle upon her. The murmurs softened into whispers, and the shadows melted into a comforting darkness. The ordinary world, so familiar and so often overlooked, had revealed itself as a repository of quiet wonders. Each small observation had become a point of connection, a moment of mindfulness that allowed her to feel both the intimacy of her own being and the perpetual expansive presence of the world around her. With a slow, deliberate exhale, she let go of any lingering tension, allowing herself to be carried fully into the quiet call of the night. The soft pull that had drawn her attention earlier now seemed like an embrace of gentle guidance into a space where curiosity and calm coexist, where the ordinary is extraordinary, and where every small moment is a collected wonder waiting to be acknowledged. In that space, she felt a profound ease, a quiet readiness to drift further into the calm and contemplative embrace of sleep. The night carried on, gentle and patient, and she surrendered to its rhythm, knowing that the murmurs of collected wonders would continue to guide her softly, without demand, into the serene landscapes of imagination and rest. The quiet call had become a companion, a soothing presence, a gentle invitation to explore the hidden beauty of the world while carrying the warmth of awareness and mindfulness into the gentle surrender of sleep. Shelves of stillness. The protagonist wandered through the gentle darkness of the evening, guided by a sense of quiet curiosity that had taken root in her heart. The murmurs she had felt earlier seemed to grow stronger, leading her beyond the familiar rooms of her home into a space she had never truly noticed before. It was a place that seemed to exist in a liminal corner of reality, one that was both familiar and strange, a hidden alcove where time itself appeared too slow. The air here was soft and still, carrying a subtle warmth that wrapped around her like a gentle blanket, and a faint, comforting scent of old paper, would-be and sun-warmed fabrics. As she stepped forward, she realized she had entered a room lined with countless shelves. The shelves stretched upward and outward, some disappearing into shadows she could not yet see, others illuminated by pools of soft golden light. Each surface was filled with objects, small and large, familiar and curious. There were trinkets that gleamed faintly, delicate ornaments that caught the light in unexpected ways, and jars of glass that seemed to hold their own quiet magic within. Each item appeared carefully placed, as though someone, or perhaps something, had arranged them with thoughtful attention, ensuring that every memory, every fragment of beauty, had a space to exist without hurry or disturbance. She moved slowly, letting her fingers trace the edges of the shelves, feeling the smooth wood and the faint bumps where nails had once held them together. Her eyes lingered on the objects, a faded photograph tucked behind a delicate ceramic figurine, the soft curve of a pressed flower, a tiny wooden box whose surface was etched with intricate patterns. Each object hummed, not with sound, but with a quiet energy that seemed to vibrate gently through the air, encouraging her to pause, notice, and breathe. There was no rush, no expectation. The room itself seemed to teach patience, the art of savoring the unnoticed, the forgotten, the gently overlooked. The protagonist reached for a small glass bottle filled with tiny, colorful beads. When she held it up to the light, they shimmered faintly, like distant stars caught in a captured sky. She felt a warmth in her chest, a subtle sense of connection to the hands that had once chosen those beads, threaded them, and set them aside. It was as if every object carried the essence of someone's careful attention, preserved across time in a quiet resonance that was now reaching her. In this place, she realized, moments themselves were honored not as grand events, but as small, fragile pieces of life that were too easily overlooked elsewhere. Walking deeper into the room, she discovered shelves filled with books, their spines soft and worn. Some titles she recognized, others were unfamiliar, but all seemed to whisper promises of gentle discoveries. The pages were slightly yellowed with age, carrying the faint scent of ink and time. She ran her fingers along them, imagining the lives that had touched each volume, the hands that had opened them, the eyes that had scanned the words, the quiet moments when knowledge, story, or comfort had seeped into someone's heart. Here, even the stories that had been abandoned by their original owners seemed to find solace, awaiting the touch of a curious soul who would honor their existence once more. A faint sound reached her ears, not quite music, but a harmonious resonance that seemed to emerge from the shelves themselves. It was a delicate, unhurried rhythm, as if each collected wonder hummed in recognition of her presence. She felt an almost magnetic pull toward a corner of the room where smaller shelves held objects of personal memory. A hand-carved wooden bird, a spool of silk thread frayed at the edges, a tiny bell that when tilted made the faintest chime. She paused before these treasures, feeling their quiet energy brush against her own. In their stillness, she sensed a reflection of her own thoughts and emotions, moments of wonder that had been tucked away and forgotten, now preserved in the careful curation of this serene space. Time seemed to bend in this room. The outside world, with its urgent demands and persistent noise, felt distant and irrelevant. Here, she was invited to exist solely in the present, to move slowly, to breathe deeply. to notice the gentle contours of life's quieter aspects. Each shelf, each object became a guide, encouraging her to linger over small marvels that would ordinarily pass unnoticed. A simple porcelain cup with a faint crack across its surface became a vessel of history. She imagined the hands that had held it, the liquid warmth it had once carried, the conversations and laughter that had accompanied its use. Even imperfection held a kind of beauty here, celebrated rather than hidden, embraced rather than discarded. She turned her attention to a collection of letters tied carefully with a faded ribbon. Their edges were soft, and the ink had blurred slightly over time, yet the words seemed to breathe softly with the emotions they carried. She imagined the joy, the sorrow, the quiet longing that had prompted someone to put pen to paper. The letters did not demand to be read in their entirety. Simply holding them, feeling their texture, and imagining their stories was enough. The room seemed to teach that memory did not require comprehension, that beauty could exist simply in the acknowledgement of its presence. A gentle warmth enveloped her as she walked along the aisles of shelves, her senses drinking in the calm energy of the place. Light and shadow danced softly, reflecting off glass and polished wood, creating tiny, transient patterns that reminded her of the fleeting yet persistent nature of beauty. She realized that each object, each preserved moment, was like a note in an immense symphony of stillness, a collection of wonders that together composed a melody of quiet joy. There was no rush, no crescendo, no abrupt ending, only a steady, soothing rhythm that encouraged reflection and mindfulness. The protagonist paused near a shelf filled with textiles, scarves, handkerchiefs, swatches of fabric in delicate colors and textures. She lifted a soft gray scarf and felt the fibers slip through her fingers. She imagined the hands that had stitched it, the care with which it had been folded and set aside, the warmth it had provided in someone's life. Even the smallest items seemed imbued with significance, each a testament to a moment of attention, a choice made, a feeling experienced and preserved. In this place, there was no hierarchy of importance. All moments, large or small, grand or trivial, were equally deserving of recognition and reverence. As she continued exploring, she came upon a corner where sunlight streamed through a high window, illuminating a display of delicate glass figurines, birds, butterflies, flowers, each one caught in a frozen moment of motion, seemed almost alive in the warm light. She moved closer, marveling at the craftsmanship, the care, the intention behind each piece. She felt a quiet kinship with the hands that had created them, an understanding that beauty is not always loud or dramatic, but can reside in gentle, meticulous care, in patient observation, in the quiet moments that accumulate to form a life. There was a profound sense of safety in this space. She could feel it in the way the air moved, in the warmth that wrapped around her, in the soft echo of her footsteps that barely disturbed the stillness. It was a place where nothing needed to be rushed, where she could exist without judgment or expectation, where each object, each memory, each fragment of emotion was honored simply by being present. She felt a deep relaxation settle over her, a soothing awareness that she was exactly where she needed to be, exactly as she needed to be, in the company of quiet wonders that hummed in harmony with her own inner rhythm. A small wooden box on a lower shelf caught her attention. She knelt to open it, finding a collection of tiny, smooth stones, each one shaped and polished by time. She held one in her hand, feeling its cool surface, imagining the journey it had taken from river to hand, from hand to box. There was a meditative quality in this recognition, a sense that every detail, no matter how small, carried the imprint of life's quiet persistence. The room seemed to whisper that all moments, all experiences could be cherished and preserved, that there is value in the act of noticing and the gentle care of memory. She moved along the shelves, slowly, deliberately, her eyes catching the subtle glimmer of a silver pendant, the faded colors of a hand-painted fan, the intricate stitching of a miniature quilt. Every item spoke of intention, attention, and reverence for life's delicate details. The protagonist felt herself breathing more deeply, sinking into a calm that seemed to flow from the objects themselves, a calm that was mirrored in the rhythm of her own heartbeat. She realized that she was not simply observing these items. She was participating in a quiet dialogue with the past, with the memories preserved here, with the very essence of what it means to notice and to care. In a particularly quiet corner, she found a small chair beside a low shelf, inviting her to sit. She settled into it, letting her body relax fully, and allowed her gaze to drift across the room. The shelves seemed to extend infinitely, each layer of objects and memories a testament to the richness of unnoticed life. The murmurs that had first guided her here now felt like a gentle accompaniment, a soft orchestration that encouraged her to reflect on her own life, on her own small wonders, on the quiet moments that had gone unobserved but still shaped her being. As she sat in stillness, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not for grand achievements or dramatic events, but for the sheer act of noticing, for the invitation to slow down, for the recognition that even in the quietest corners there is life, beauty, and meaning. She understood that these shelves of stillness were more than a collection of objects. They were a repository of attention, care, and love, a sanctuary where the ordinary could be honored and cherished, and where the hum of quiet energy reminded her that she, too, was part of this gentle, ongoing rhythm. The evening wore on, and the protagonist remained seated, letting her mind drift like a leaf on a calm stream. The murmurs, the warmth, the stillness all blended together into a soothing presence, a lullaby of awareness that encouraged her to sink deeper into relaxation. She realized that she did not need to catalog or understand everything before her. It was enough to be present, to notice, to breathe, and to let the calm energy of the room fill her entirely. Eventually, a gentle drowsiness began to wash over her, a soft, inviting heaviness that beckoned her toward rest. The shelves, the objects, the memories, and the delicate hum of quiet energy had done their work. They had opened her senses to the richness of unnoticed life, and now, in their presence, she could surrender to the natural rhythm of the night. She felt her body soften, her thoughts settle, and her spirit become attuned to the gentle cadence of calm and stillness that surrounded her. The protagonist closed her eyes, allowing herself to drift fully into the serene embrace of this place. The shelves of stillness whispered their final encouragements, a gentle promise that she could return to this sanctuary anytime she needed, that the quiet wonders would always be waiting patiently and unhurriedly to offer comfort, reflection, and calm. In that moment, she felt entirely safe, entirely seen, and entirely at peace, carried softly by the hum of collected wonders into the tranquil depths of evening contemplation and rest. Listening without holding. The protagonist moved slowly through the softly lit space, her footsteps quiet on the polished wooden floor, almost as if the room itself had asked her to tread lightly, to honor its calm. She let her gaze drift across the countless shelves, over objects both familiar and strange, feeling the hum of quiet energy that seemed to flow from each one. Unlike the outside world, where motion and possession often define the value of things, here nothing demanded attention, nothing sought ownership. She realized almost immediately that she did not need to collect, rearrange, or even understand. Her only task was to notice, to listen, and to allow herself to be present with what was already. A soft breeze brushed her cheek, as though the room itself were breathing in tandem with her. She closed her eyes for a moment and let herself simply feel, letting her hands hover over the objects she passed without picking them up. A delicate porcelain cup, the surface patterned with faint blue lines, seemed to radiate a gentle warmth. A tiny figurine, shaped like a bird mid-flight, shimmered in the soft light, as though frozen in a graceful arc. The simple act of observing them, without attempting to own or change, brought a peculiar, soothing satisfaction. It was as if the space was teaching her a new language of attention, of presence, of acceptance. She continued along the aisles, her gaze lingering on a shelf where small glass jars held tiny collections of sands from distant shores. Each grain, each color seemed to hum softly, telling its story of distant rivers, sun-warmed beaches, and the silent passage of time. The protagonist felt herself breathing in rhythm with the quiet pulse of the objects, inhaling slowly, exhaling slowly, until her own heart seemed to echo the serenity of the room. In this rhythm, she began to understand the first lesson of the space, that beauty, memory, and wonder do not require ownership, that attention alone is a form of respect, that listening is a way of holding without grasping. A faint murmur reached her ears, not a voice, not a sound in the usual sense, but a resonance that seemed to rise from the shelves themselves. She paused and let it wash over her, noticing that it carried a kind of narrative, a story woven of impermanence, gratitude, and acceptance. The objects did not speak in words, but they spoke nonetheless, teaching her that the world, in its quiet moments, was content to exist without interference. A pressed flower in a small frame seemed to sigh softly, and in that sigh she heard the gentle truth that all things bloom and fade, and that the act of noticing their fleeting existence is itself a kind of reverence. As she wandered further, she encountered a shelf of folded fabrics. Some were soft and worn from use, their edges fraying slightly, while others retained the crisp perfection of being untouched. She ran her fingers along the textures, feeling the difference between the carefully preserved and the gently aged. Each told a story not of success or failure, of perfection or neglect, but of being a quiet, unassuming presence that simply was. She realized she had been carrying a quiet tension with her, a need to fix, to arrange, to control. Here, none of that was necessary. Here, listening and noticing were enough. A small stack of letters tied with ribbon caught her attention. The paper was soft, yellowed slightly, and the ink had faded over time, yet the energy it carried remained vivid. She lifted a letter gently and felt its texture under her fingers. The words, she sensed, had once been filled with urgency, emotion, and intention. Yet here, they needed nothing from her, not to be read, not to be interpreted, not to be judged. They were simply to be present, and by acknowledging their existence, by letting them be, she participated in a quiet conversation of appreciation. The act of noticing became a kind of listening, a gentle communion with what was, without desire to hold or control. She moved on, passing by jars of pressed leaves and petals, small carvings, tiny glass animals frozen in time. Each seemed to vibrate with subtle energy, a soft echo of lives and moments that had passed, preserved here, not out of necessity, but out of care. She understood that the murmurs, delicate as they were, reflected the impermanent nature of life. Nothing here was permanent, nothing could remain forever, and yet, in the careful preservation of small moments, there was a quiet celebration of transience. She could feel a lightness settle over her shoulders, the natural release of tension, as if the objects themselves were teaching her the peace that comes from letting go. Her breathing, once shallow with unnoticed tension, slowed naturally. Each inhale brought a sense of calm. Each exhale carried away a fraction of worry, expectation, or concern. She noticed that the act of simply observing, without needing to interact or possess, created a soft rhythm within her body, a meditative cadence that matched the subtle hum of the shelves. The space seemed to pulse with quiet life, and she felt herself dissolving gently into its rhythm, becoming part of the undemanding flow of attention, appreciation, and presence. A delicate glass orb, resting on a low shelf, caught a shaft of light from an unseen window. She approached it carefully, aware that she did not need to touch it to feel its beauty. Within its depths, she imagined reflections of countless small moments, a smile shared across a table, a handwritten note left in a drawer, the brushing of fingertips along a frayed edge of fabric. Each reflection carried a quiet resonance, a hum that vibrated softly against her consciousness. She realized she was learning to listen not only to the objects, but to the subtler stories they carried, the echoes of time, of human attention, of fleeting joy and quiet sorrow. She paused before a small wooden box filled with smooth stones, each one carefully polished by unseen hands. She lifted one, feeling its cool surface in her palm, and allowed herself to imagine the journey it had traveled, the countless days and nights that had shaped it. She did not attempt to claim it, nor to understand it fully. She simply acknowledged its presence, its story, its quiet place in the room. The lesson became clear. Listening without holding is not a form of emptiness, but a way of participating in the world's gentle flow, a form of gratitude and care that does not require possession or interference. In the deeper corners of the room, she discovered shelves of music boxes, tiny instruments, and objects that produced soft sounds when touched. She let them remain silent, aware that their presence alone carried meaning. The potential for sound was as significant as sound itself. In this way, she realized that she had often imposed unnecessary expectations on the world, a need for action, for change, for tangible results. Here, she learned that stillness, presence, and acknowledgement are sufficient. The murmurs of collected wonders had taught her that life's value is not in what is achieved or acquired, but in what is observed, appreciated, and allowed to exist. Freely she moved slowly, absorbing the atmosphere, letting the soft light fall across her face and the subtle warmth of the room embrace her. A collection of tiny hand-painted stones caught her attention, each marked with a symbol or pattern that seemed to glow faintly in the gentle illumination. She crouched to look closely, noticing the care in the brushstrokes, the patience in the details. These were not objects made for grand display, but for quiet reflection, for the subtle joy of noticing. In their stillness, she found a mirror of her own growing awareness, a reflection of how attention and care, given without demand, could transform perception into a profound, soothing presence. A small chair beside a low shelf invited her to sit, and she did. As she settled in, she let her body relax fully, feeling the support beneath her and the calm of the space surrounding her. The shelves seemed to recede slightly, as if creating a private sanctuary within the room, a small universe where the act of listening was sufficient to engage fully with life's subtle wonders. She noticed her own thoughts floating freely, unanchored from necessity, and felt a deep gratitude for this freedom, for the gentle permission to simply exist and observe. The murmurs became more distinct in their reflection, echoing the lessons of impermanence, gratitude, and acceptance. Each object, each preserved moment, seemed to vibrate with its own message, that life is made up of countless fleeting instances, each deserving attention, each valuable in its transience. She felt a growing awareness that her own life, too, contained innumerable small wonders that she had overlooked, that noticing them without need for control or judgment could bring a profound peace. Her breathing slowed even further, becoming a natural, unforced rhythm that matched the quiet pulse of the room. She felt the tension in her shoulders dissolve, her mind soften, and her heart expand with a gentle warmth. Listening without holding became a meditative practice, an act of surrender that was not loss, but gain of clarity.com and connection. The murmurs, once subtle, now felt like companions, guiding her inward, helping her become attuned to the delicate interplay of presence, attention, and acceptance. She allowed her gaze to drift over the shelves one last time, noticing the soft glimmer of a tiny bell, the worn edges of a book, the faded petals of pressed flowers. She did not need to pick them up, rearrange them, or even understand their stories fully. Their existence, their careful preservation, their quiet hum of energy was enough. She felt a sense of reverence, a gentle appreciation that filled her chest with warmth, and recognized that the room had become a mirror for her own internal stillness. The protagonist closed her eyes, letting the lessons of listening without holding sink fully into her being. She felt her mind quiet, her body relax, her awareness expand into a soft, comforting openness. Here, she realized, she could carry the essence of this space with her into the evening and beyond, the understanding that attention and presence, given freely, are themselves a form of care and love. The murmurs of collected wonders faded gently into her consciousness, leaving behind a profound calm, a sense of gratitude, and a readiness to continue her journey with ease and openness as sleep began to settle upon her. She felt herself wrapped in the embrace of the room, the objects, and the subtle hum of impermanence and acceptance. She breathed slowly, deeply, with a gentle smile forming on her lips, knowing that in listening without holding, she had discovered not only the beauty of the world around her, but the quiet, infinite wonders within herself. The weight that lifts. As the protagonist lingered among the shelves of stillness, a quiet realization began to unfold within her. She became aware of subtle tensions that had been threading themselves through her body and mind, hidden yet persistent, like shadows that stretch unnoticed in the corners of a well-lit room. These were not tangible objects she could set aside, but invisible burdens, expectations she had held for herself, regrets that had quietly grown heavier over time, thoughts unanswered or postponed, lingering moments she had never fully acknowledged. Until now, they had blended into the background of her life, imperceptible in their constancy, yet subtly pressing upon her heart. She took a slow breath and allowed herself to notice these burdens without judgment. They were familiar companions, present in ways both obvious and subtle. Some weighed heavily on her chest, others tugged gently at her shoulders, while still others lingered in her mind as a persistent, quiet hum. She had lived with them for so long that their presence had seemed normal, an inescapable part of daily life. But here, among the collected wonders, she began to sense that these burdens were not permanent fixtures. They were like leaves caught in the wind, sometimes clinging, sometimes drifting, always moving when given the chance. The soft murmurs of the room encouraged her to breathe more deeply. She inhaled slowly, filling her lungs with the warm, gentle air of the space, and exhaled deliberately, imagining her invisible burdens loosening with each breath. A weight that had long seemed inseparable from her very being began to shift, a subtle but unmistakable lightness stirring in its place. She realized that she did not need to carry everything at once, that some things could simply be acknowledged and allowed to dissolve naturally. A delicate ceramic bird on a nearby shelf caught her attention. Its wings were folded gracefully, its gaze gentle. She imagined herself placing each worry, each expectation onto that bird, letting it bear the weight for a moment before releasing it into the quiet air. She did not need to solve or fix, did not need to judge or critique. She simply let go. As she breathed, she imagined the small burdens lifting one by one, like tiny feathers rising into the calm glow of the room. Her body, which had unconsciously held tension in her shoulders and back, began to relax more fully. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, soft and enveloping, as if the collected wonders themselves were offering support, holding the space for her release. She noticed her hands resting on her lap, unclenching naturally, her legs releasing the rigidity that had become habitual. Every exhale carried away a fragment of weight, a shard of worry, leaving her more spacious, more open, more serene. She wandered slowly among the shelves, touching the objects lightly, not to hold, not to move, but simply to connect. A small, hand-carved box felt cool under her fingers. Inside, she imagined the regrets she had carried, the words left unsaid, the decisions she had questioned dissolving, like mist in the soft glow of the room. The murmurs seemed to acknowledge each release with a gentle resonance, a quiet encouragement that it was safe to let go, safe to breathe, safe to be without the invisible weight she had once believed indispensable. As she moved further into the room, she discovered a low shelf filled with smooth stones, each one unique in shape and texture. She crouched to look closely, noticing the subtle patterns and imperfections. Each stone seemed to reflect a story of endurance, of time passing, of quiet resilience. She imagined herself placing a worry upon a stone, allowing the stone to carry it, and then letting it settle back onto the shelf. In this act of symbolic release, she felt the burdens lighten, as if each worry or regret, she acknowledged, was no longer a chain, but a gently falling leaf. The soft light in the room played across her face, and she noticed the tension in her forehead easing. She let her eyelids grow heavy, the warmth of the space wrapping around her like a gentle shawl. She imagined each invisible burden, expectations about the future, judgments about the past, lingering doubts melting away with the evening light. With each breath, she felt lighter, freer, as though the collected wonders were not only preserving beauty and memory, but also offering her a sanctuary for emotional release. She came upon a shelf where small jars held dried petals, delicate and fragile. Their colors had faded over time, yet in their imperfection there was a profound beauty. She imagined placing her regrets among the petals, allowing them to mingle with the quiet elegance of the preserved flowers. Each burden, no longer carried alone, seemed to find its place in the broader tapestry of the Ruma tapestry that held all things with patience, care, and acceptance. In this act, she realized that letting go did not mean erasure or loss, but integration, a gentle acknowledgement that even the things she had carried could become part of a larger, serene pattern. A faint murmur rose again, weaving around her like a soft melody. It was a rhythm of release, a whisper of impermanence, a reminder that all weight eventually dissolves if given space and attention. She allowed herself to sink into the sound, letting it move through her body and mind. Each inhale filled her with calm. Each exhale released tension she had carried for days, weeks, years. The invisible burdens, once so heavy, now floated away gently, absorbed into the quiet energy of the room. She settled into a small chair beside a low shelf, her body sinking comfortably into its support. She imagined herself folding her hands in her lap, closing her eyes, and feeling the cumulative weight of the day, the week, the lingering shadows of past mistakes, gradually lifting. She pictured each expectation like a small pebble sliding from her fingers, each regret like a faint wisp of smoke dissipating into the calm air. The room, with its countless preserved wonders, seemed to breathe with her, offering a rhythm that matched her own slow, deliberate heartbeat. Her thoughts began to drift freely, no longer held captive by worry or unfinished business. She realized that many of the weights she had carried were imagined necessities, burdens she had assumed were permanent because she had never allowed herself the permission to release them. Here, in the sanctuary of collected wonders, she understood that release was not only possible, but natural. Each burden she let go felt lighter than the last, leaving space for clarity, warmth, and quiet contentment. A small music box on a nearby shelf caught her attention. She imagined winding it gently, allowing a soft, delicate melody to fill the room. The music seemed to carry away any lingering heaviness, each note a gentle exhalation, each pause a space for reflection. She felt herself melt into the rhythm, her muscles unclenching, her breath lengthening, her mind softening. The weight that had seemed so permanent now felt like a distant echo, a memory of tension rather than a presence in the body. As she wandered further, she noticed a collection of old letters tied with ribbon. She imagined opening each one, reading the emotions they contained, and then letting them rest peacefully in her awareness, no longer carrying the need to act, to respond, or to judge. Each letter became a small vessel of release, a container for the unspoken, the unfinished, and the unresolved. She realized that by acknowledging them and then letting them go, she was not abandoning anything. She was allowing life to flow more gently, creating space for presence.calm and self-compassion. A faint smile curved her lips as she noticed a small bird figurine perched on a low shelf. She imagined placing all the invisible weights she had recognized into its outstretched wings, allowing it to carry them into the calm glow of the room. She felt the tension in her chest dissolve, her shoulders drop, and her heart lighten. The invisible burdens that had seemed inseparable from her being were now simply things she had noticed, acknowledged, and released. She was free. Not from experience, but from the weight of unnecessary holding, the soft glow of the room, the gentle hum of the murmurs, the presence of the collected wonders, all of it wrapped around her like a protective, tender blanket. She felt the residual tension in her body dissolve completely, leaving her utterly present, entirely relaxed, and profoundly calm. She understood that release is not a one-time act, but a gentle, ongoing process. A series of small acknowledgments and quiet exhalations that allows space for the self to breathe freely. She closed her eyes fully, letting the lessons of the room sink deep into her awareness. The invisible weights that had traveled with her for so long had been recognized, honored, and allowed to dissolve. She felt the expansiveness of her own being, the gentle buoyancy that comes from letting go, and the profound comfort of existing without unnecessary strain. The murmurs of the collected wonders seemed to echo softly in her mind, affirming that she was exactly where she needed to be, exactly as she needed to be, completely supported by presence, attention, and care. Her breath slowed further, becoming a natural, unforced rhythm. In harmony with the gentle pulse of the room, she felt her body sink more fully into the chair, her mind soften into serene awareness, and her spirit expand with a subtle, quiet joy. She realized that she could carry this sense of lightness beyond the room, into the evening, into sleep, and into the days that awaited her. The burdens she had once carried were not erased, but they no longer weighed upon her. They had been acknowledged, released, and transformed into the gentle calm that now resided within her. Becoming the silence after releasing the invisible burdens that had weighed upon her, the protagonist felt a soft, almost imperceptible shift within herself. The tension that had threaded through her body and mind no longer tugged insistently at her awareness. It had dissolved into the gentle hum of the collected wonders that surrounded her. She realized, with a quiet wonder, that she was beginning to inhabit a space between moments, a place where time felt malleable, where the rhythm of the world and her own heartbeat merged into a single, unhurried flow. In this liminal space, she was no longer merely present in the room. She was present with the silence itself, listening, feeling, and slowly becoming one with it. The air was soft and warm around her, carrying a faint fragrance of old wood, sunlit fabrics, and delicate dried flowers. Each breath she took seemed to draw in the calm of the space, filling her lungs with ease, and each exhale released the last remnants of residual thought, worry, or expectation. She felt her shoulders drop, her spine settle into a gentle elongation, her hands resting loosely in her lap, as though they had finally learned to trust the stillness. She realized that in this moment, she did not need to do, to plan, to anticipate, or to analyze. There was nothing to hold, nothing to fix, nothing to achieve. There was only the profound, enveloping presence of quiet. Her eyes, softly half closed, wandered over the shelves she had come to know so intimately. The objects that had once held delicate stories of impermanence and release now seemed to exude a deeper calm, as if the room itself had recognized her readiness to rest fully within its embrace. A tiny glass bird, perched delicately on a shelf, shimmered faintly in the muted light. She imagined its wings spreading softly, and in that imagined movement, she felt a resonance within herself. Her body seemed to soften even further, as if the light from the room were dissolving all remaining rigidity, and her mind slowed to a pace that felt natural, unhurried, and entirely in harmony with the gentle hum around her. She became aware that the silence was not empty. It was alive with subtle energy. There was the faint whisper of air brushing past the edges of the window pane, the soft creak of wood as it settled under its own weight, the muted echo of her own breath joining the ambient rhythm. She realized she was listening not just to the room, but to the very fabric of stillness itself. Each sound, or the absence of sound, was a note in a slow, unfolding symphony, a melody that required nothing of her but her attentive presence. In listening without expectation, she found a surprising joy, the awareness that she was already part of this unfolding harmony, that her being alone contributed to the gentle cadence of the space. A faint glow, subtle and golden, filtered through the high window. She let her gaze soften into it, allowing the light to wash over her face and settle gently in her chest. It was not a brilliance that demanded attention, but a quiet illumination that revealed the contours of the room, the delicate textures of objects, and the softness of her own surroundings. She realized that light and silence were companions here, coexisting in a gentle dance, each enhancing the presence of the other. In that recognition, she felt herself dissolve further into the quiet, as though she were becoming not just within the space, but part of its very essence. The murmurs of the room, subtle and insistent, now took on a deeper tone. They were reflections of all she had experienced so far, the recognition of small wonders, the practice of listening without holding, the release of invisible burdens. Now they guided her inward, toward a place where stillness could be embraced, not as an absence, but as an active, living presence. She felt herself breathing with the room, inhaling the calm, exhaling tension, until even the rhythm of her thoughts softened, moving in slow, undulating patterns that required no engagement or judgment. She was no longer the protagonist, observing the space. She was the space itself, or at least a part of its undemanding, serene rhythm. She wandered slowly, guided by intuition rather than curiosity, letting her hands hover near objects without touching them, letting her gaze rest without focusing on details. The walls, the shelves, the objects, they all seemed to exhale alongside her, releasing energy she had not known she carried. She became aware of a subtle lightness in her body, a feeling as if gravity itself had softened its pull, leaving her suspended in a gentle, protective embrace. She understood that she could linger here indefinitely, in the quiet between moments, letting the stillness itself teach her the rhythm of ease, the cadence of gentle presence. A small wooden box, previously unnoticed, came into view. She knelt beside it, imagining opening it to reveal not objects, but pure quiet. She allowed herself to imagine the weight of her own voice, her own thoughts, her own presence dissolving into that silence. There was no fear, no resistance, only acceptance, a gradual merging with the slow hum of the room, the soft resonance of collected wonders, and the profound sense of being held by something larger than herself, yet intimately attuned to her existence. She let her back sink fully into the chair beside the shelf, feeling the firmness of its support and the gentle, encompassing warmth of the room. She closed her eyes completely, allowing the soft, golden light to fade from her awareness and be replaced by an internal illumination, a quiet glow that seemed to originate from her own breath, from the rhythmic expansion and contraction of her chest, from the subtle pulse of life within her. The murmurs became less distinct, blending into a continuous, soothing presence, like water flowing quietly beneath ice, constant yet barely perceived. In this state, she found that time itself seemed to stretch and dissolve. Past worries, lingering thoughts of unfinished tasks, and even anticipations of tomorrow seemed distant, almost irrelevant. They existed somewhere beyond the edges of perception, but they no longer touched her here. She was fully present in the suspended moment, fully immersed in a silence that was not empty, but profound, alive, and infinitely welcoming. She realized that the quiet was not a void to be filled, but a space to inhabit, a place where she could rest completely without concern or interruption. A gentle breeze, imperceptible but comforting, moved across her face. She let herself feel the air, the warmth, the subtle textures of the room, the heartbeat within her chest. She became aware that her own breathing was slow, steady, natural, a rhythm that mirrored the flow of stillness around her. Every exhale was a soft release, every inhale a quiet replenishment. In this way, she became attuned to the unspoken language of the room, a dialogue of presence, attention, and acceptance that required nothing but her own willingness to exist fully in the moment. Her mind, once busy and insistent, became a gently undulating field, thoughts appearing briefly like clouds in a calm sky, then drifting away without resistance. She felt no need to grasp them, no need to follow them, no need to judge them. They were part of the quiet landscape of her consciousness, acknowledged and released. like leaves floating along a slow, meandering stream. She felt herself expanding, not in size, but in presence, occupying the room fully, yet also merging seamlessly with its calm, pervasive silence. A faint, melodic murmur seemed to rise and fall in harmony with her breath. It was the culmination of the lessons she had encountered so far: the attention to small wonders, the release of invisible burdens, the practice of listening without holding. Now, it was a meditation in sound, a guide into a state of profound, restorative stillness. She let the hum fill her mind, permeate her body, and carry her awareness outward and inward simultaneously. She felt herself dissolve gently into the silence, the space, and her own being becoming one continuous, undivided presence. Her hands, resting softly in her lap, seemed to merge with the calm around her. Her chest rose and fell in perfect rhythm with the soft hum of the room, her heartbeat echoing the subtle pulse of the space. She felt entirely safe, entirely seen, and entirely held. There was no expectation, no urgency, no need for action. The silence itself became a companion, a teacher, a refuge, and a reflection of the deepest part of her own being. She understood, finally, that she did not need to fill the space, change it, or control it. She needed only to exist within it, allowing herself to be cradled by its infinite patience and gentle rhythm. Slowly, her awareness expanded beyond the objects, beyond the shelves, beyond the room itself. She sensed the continuity of life, the subtle energy that flows through all things, the quiet interconnection that exists whether one notices it or not. She was part of that flow, not as an agent of change, but as a conscious, breathing participant, attuned to the gentle, unhurried rhythm of existence. In that realization, she felt a soft joy, a quiet satisfaction, and a profound sense of peace. Her breathing continued to deepen, the rhythm now perfectly synchronized with the gentle pulse of stillness. Her eyelids felt heavy, her body soft and warm, her mind calm and expansive. She was fully immersed in the silence, no longer separate from it, yet aware of its presence in a tender, almost sacred way. She felt the last traces of tension dissolve completely, leaving her light, buoyant, and utterly at ease. The murmurs of the collected wonders receded gently, replaced by a profound inner stillness that seemed to stretch infinitely in all directions. In this quiet, she realized that she had reached a threshold not of the room, not of objects, but of her own awareness. She was no longer merely observing, no longer merely participating. She had become the silence itself, a living, breathing, attentive stillness that held everything without judgment, without interference, without effort. She felt herself drifting on the gentle currents of this awareness, carried effortlessly, completely supported, entirely present. Her body, mind, and spirit now resonated with the soft, infinite hum of quiet. She surrendered fully, allowing herself to dissolve into the stillness, trusting completely in the gentle rhythm that had guided her through the collected wonders, the invisible burdens, and the lessons of listening without holding. She was, at last, entirely at peace, completely present, and wholly embraced by the quiet, the return of soft light. After dwelling in the quiet embrace of stillness, the protagonist felt a subtle shift within herself, as if the air itself had changed tone. The room no longer hummed with the soft resonance of attention alone. A gentle warmth began to spread, like the first rays of morning brushing against a window pane, soft and tender, carrying a promise of renewed awareness. She sensed that the space she had inhabited, the shelves, the murmurs, the invisible energy, was preparing her to return from this suspended sanctuary into a world that waited, not with urgency, but with a gentle invitation to continue. Her breath, slow and rhythmic, carried the calm she had cultivated. Each inhale drew in the warm golden light that now seemed to infuse the room, and each exhale released the remnants of night-bound heaviness. She noticed the subtle illumination glinting off a tiny glass figurine, and for a moment she imagined the light reaching into the smallest corners of her consciousness, brushing away shadows that had lingered unnoticed. It was not a harsh or demanding illumination, but a soft, nurturing radiance that seemed to encourage ease, reflection, and gentle awareness. The objects on the shelves, once silent witnesses to her exploration, now seemed to participate in this subtle awakening. A pressed flower, delicate and fragile, caught a slant of light and glowed faintly, revealing its intricate veins and muted colors in a way that felt almost like a whispered greeting. A small wooden bird, perched carefully as though frozen in mid-flight, shimmered with a renewed vibrancy. She felt a quiet recognition stir within Hertha, realization that even the smallest moments, the objects she had so attentively observed, were capable of transformation, capable of carrying gentle illumination into her consciousness, inviting her to move forward with awareness and grace. She shifted her weight in the chair where she had rested, allowing herself to feel the firmness beneath her and the warmth around her. The chair, the shelves, and the room itself seemed to sigh softly, as if acknowledging her readiness to step beyond this space of pure stillness while carrying its essence with her. She breathed slowly, deliberately, letting the rhythm of her body harmonize with the soft glow that filled the room. In this moment, she felt both a profound connection to the sanctuary she had inhabited and a readiness to return to the gentle flow of life beyond its walls. The murmurs she had come to know so well now carried a new quality, less about instruction, less about reflection, and more about encouragement. They were whispers of possibility, soft reminders that the calm and attentiveness she had discovered here were not confined to the shelves and objects, but could accompany her wherever she went. She imagined each murmur as a tiny ray of light, threading its way into her awareness, expanding her capacity for presence, gratitude, and ease. It was a quiet guidance, not a command, an invitation to carry the lessons of the stillness into her daily experience without pressure or expectation. A small shelf of delicate glass jars caught her attention. Inside each jar were fragments of color, tiny grains, and flecks of light that seemed to dance when viewed from the corner of her eye. She imagined the light within these jars reaching outward, gently brushing against the edges of her mind, illuminating parts of her awareness that had remained in shadow. Each fragment seemed to carry a memory of joy, a moment of quiet attention, or the residue of a released burden. She felt a sense of wonder stir within her, not as urgency, but as a soft acknowledgement of the beauty and richness that exists in the spaces we often overlook. She rose slowly from the chair, letting her body stretch with deliberate slowness. The movement was unhurried, almost ceremonial, as if honoring the sanctuary that had held her in quiet embrace. She walked along the aisles, her fingers brushing lightly over the objects she had encountered, sensing their soft vibrations and allowing them to resonate within her. Each touch, though fleeting, seemed to carry a final message of ease and reassurance that the calm, the attentiveness, the soft stillness were not limited to this room. They were qualities she could cultivate within herself. Wherever she went, her gaze drifted upward, toward the high window through which the soft light now poured. The glow seemed to settle around her shoulders, across her arms, and into her chest. She allowed herself to breathe in the warmth, imagining it spreading into every corner of her body, releasing any remaining traces of tension or lingering worry. It was a slow, tender process, as if the light itself were a gentle hand, smoothing and softening the contours of her being. She felt a rising awareness that she could carry this light, this calm, beyond the room and into the life that awaited her, not as a burden to maintain, but as a quiet companion to accompany her steps. She paused beside a small music box, its surface glinting faintly in the gentle illumination. In her imagination, she wound it slowly, allowing the delicate notes to fill the room. The melody was not loud, not demanding, but soft and flowing, weaving through the space and merging seamlessly with the light. Each note seemed to carry a fragment of calm into her consciousness, intertwining with the lessons of stillness, listening, and release she had learned. She felt herself becoming both witness and participant, fully attuned to the subtle harmony of the room, yet ready to take it with her into the wider world. The shelves, once dense with objects of wonder, now seemed to breathe with her awareness. Each item radiated its quiet significance without expectation or demand. She realized that the room itself was a reflection of the inner sanctuary she had cultivated, a place where attention, care, and presence created a gentle illumination that required no effort, no striving, no completion. She felt a profound gratitude for the space, for the stillness, for the whispers of guidance and reassurance that had carried her through the release of burdens, the listening without holding, and the merging into silence. A faint murmur rose once more, softer than before, as if acknowledging the close of this chapter of her journey. She let it wash over her, feeling the resonance ripple through her body, smoothing her chest, loosening her shoulders, quieting the lingering thoughts at the edges of her awareness. She felt the calm settle deeply into her being, not fleetingly, but as a foundation she could carry with her. The light, the warmth, and the quiet presence of the room became a part of her consciousness, a reservoir of gentle energy and ease she could return to whenever she needed. She wandered toward the door that had first brought her into this space, noticing its subtle contours and the soft glow that framed it. She imagined stepping through not into urgency or demand, but into life with a sense of calm continuity. The room had not only offered sanctuary, it had taught her a profound truth that the quiet, the collected wonders, and the soft illumination she had experienced were not confined to a single place, but could reside within her own awareness, ready to be accessed at any time. With deliberate slowness, she opened the door and felt the threshold beneath her feet. The soft light from the room spilled outward, as if spilling into her own being, illuminating her path with tenderness and clarity. She carried the lessons of the collected wonders, the release of invisible burdens, the attentive listening, and the quiet merging into silence as she moved forward. The journey of stillness, reflection, and gentle presence was not completed, was a companion she would continue to carry, a source of calm and illumination in every step she took. Her breath remained slow, deep and rhythmic as she stepped into the space beyond the room. Even in the wider world, she felt the gentle weightlessness of her released burdens, the quiet strength of her attentive presence, and the soft warmth of illumination that seemed to glow from within her. The return of light was not sudden or dramatic. It was gradual, steady, and tender, like the rising sun brushing softly across a quiet landscape. She walked forward with a gentle awareness, knowing that even ordinary moments now held the possibility of subtle wonder, gentle attention, and quiet calm. The objects she had touched, the murmurs she had heard, and the lessons she had absorbed seemed to follow her lightly, not as a weight but as a presence. Each moment of her ongoing day could be infused with the same calm, the same gentle listening, and the same soft illumination. She realized that the sanctuary she had inhabited was no longer bound by walls or shelves. It was a living, breathing awareness within her, available whenever she chose to return to it. A soft smile formed on her lips as she felt the final traces of nighttime heaviness dissolve completely. She understood that she had not only returned to the outer world, she had returned to herself, carrying the essence of quiet, attentive presence, gentle light, and soft serenity. She felt ready to move forward with patience, kindness, and awareness, knowing that the collected wonders she had encountered were mirrored in the quiet corners of her own being as she took her first few steps beyond the room. The gentle light continued to wash over her, mingling with the lingering warmth of stillness and reflection. She felt an openness, an ease, and a readiness to meet each new moment with presence, calm, and quiet wonder. The journey through the sanctuary of collected wonders had come to a close, but its lessons remained, woven into the fabric of her awareness like threads of soft golden light, ever present, ever welcoming. This is collected a story of quiet moments gently held, where nothing needs to be fixed, nothing needs to be owned, and nothing asks more than your presence. Let the day dissolve, let the night carry you. You're listening to Whispers of the Night, where stillness gathers and rest finds. You naturally sleep softly,